If you don't see what that end goal is that you want to accomplish and that's in alignment with what you want, of course, you're not going to put in the time and effort the way that you should to get those results. But if you are very clear on what you want out of life, you're going to be so much more committed to actually doing that thing because you understand what you want and why you want that thing. Happy Memorial Day. I know, unfortunately, a lot of people just think it's a long weekend, which is true. You get a long weekend. I mean, for me, now as an entrepreneur, you never get time off, but you also get any time that you want off. It's this weird phase. It's all up to you. But I want to bring it back to what really matters. Happy Memorial Day. Thank you so much to all of the service members that gave up the biggest sacrifice that you possibly can in this world. There's no bigger sacrifice you can possibly have than what they did. And because of their sacrifice, we all get to live in this beautiful country. I mean, well, I assume everyone in here is in America, but I'm just thankful for everything that others have done to allow our freedoms in this country. Without their sacrifice, none of this would be possible. We would not be living in the world that we live in today. None of this at all would be possible. I want to thank you guys so much for that. There is no way to verbalize truly how appreciative we can be for your sacrifice. There's literally nothing. There's no bigger sacrifice than what they possibly did. And my friend DJ, thank you, DJ. And with all that being said, right, I'm a veteran myself. I served in the U.S. Army. I served in most recently in Medak, Alaska. I worked for the medical piece of the Army in Alaska. It's my final award. It was my ETS award, so it was for getting out of the military. I had a very unique experience in the military. Let me give you a 1-minute summary on that. Unfortunately, a lot of people that join our military are very young and they are, in a sense, economically forced to. Right? There's periods in which our country is so after 9/11, right? You saw recruitment rates and all that go up. However, a lot of our military tend to be people from underserved communities. This is their golden ticket potentially to be able to leave their hometown. I had soldiers like that, where this was their one opportunity. They're finally leaving the small town they come from, the small circle they're from. This is their only path to some level of financial stability. And that was not necessarily my experience in the military, because when I joined, I already studied chemical engineering at UC San Diego. I was already working at that time. I was one of the top of my class in chemical engineering. I was literally about to start a new job in the oil and gas industry. However, as a first generation American, one of the things I'm the most proud of is being born in this country. It's one of the things I'm the most thankful for above everything else. I always tell people, I got my lottery ticket in life. My entire lineage, 100% of my entire lineage, every single person before me was always born in Armenia. Armenia, this little country near Turkey, Azerbaijan, Russia, formerly part of the Soviet Union, has always gone through war. Very low income. My lottery ticket in life, and the thing I'll always be forever thankful for, is being born in this beautiful country, America, the land of opportunity. Doesn't mean everything's perfect. Of course not. Of course not. However, we, above virtually most other countries, if not every other country, have more freedoms. We have more opportunities. And what we have to do is thank all of the service members that have allowed for that, because that would have never occurred if we weren't such a powerhouse that was able to defend ourselves and then take some proactive actions as well from the military perspective. And with all that being said, this is why I'm always so forever thankful to our military, thankful to our country. And even though I was one of the top of my chemical engineering class, I decided to serve our country. It was something so special and meaningful and powerful to me. As someone who's so logical, this one was such an emotional decision for me. There was no reason on paper. Why potentially sacrifice yourself and inconvenience your family for more travel and more risk in our lives? Why lose half of my pay that I was going to be getting from this oil and gas job? Why do all these things? Just simple. I am so forever grateful to our incredible country for the opportunities that's provided to me, my family, and everyone else who will come after me because I was born in this country. And I am so forever thankful. I didn't know any other way to show the ultimate appreciation, which for me, doing that was serving our country. And when I joined as an officer directly because I was more of environmental medical route. I came in as an environmental engineer for the U.S. Army. I was in Oklahoma, San Antonio, and then Alaska. I only served 4 years at that point. My journey was actually pretty insane. I went from 0 to 27 rentals in 13 months while active duty in the military. That did play a big role because I did what I wanted to. I served our country. But I will say, when I decided to serve, although I couldn't control it, my goal was not, well, I definitely wasn't going to go be an 11 Bravo. I didn't want to be someone actively contributing to war, if that makes sense. No offense to anyone, right? But for me, when I joined, I wanted some to protect our soldiers. I want to do everything in my power for as long as I was going to be in the military to protect our soldiers. And one of the craziest things is at certain periods, almost half of our soldiers get hurt or perish due to DNBIs, disease non-battle injuries. And me coming in as an environmental engineer, I was going to play a key role in that, especially when I was promoted into the chief of environmental health position for the entire state of Alaska for all medical operations, all military medical operations throughout the state of Alaska. My job, how do we reduce soldier suicide? One of the highest rates compared to anywhere else. And we already know how tragic it is, how many active service members and veterans go down that route, unfortunately, right? And there's a ton of reasons for it, but that was one of the key things that I focused on, as well as when COVID hit. That was my job. My job was to protect our soldiers from COVID as much as possible and various other things, food, water, radiation, other elements as well for protecting our soldiers. But I had a very unique experience. How all this ties into real estate investing, if we want to get to that, is ironically enough, before I joined the military, I didn't know what my path to financial freedom was going to be. Like I presented in a video or two before, it was quite literally, I'm going to save enough money, invest it in the stock market, and maybe at 60, 70 years old, maybe then I will be able to have a couple $1,000,000 and live my life after only getting 2 weeks of my life for the between 25 to 65, 2 weeks of my life or 40 years of my life. I get 2 weeks of my life after asking for permission to go take some time off, missing work things, missing the family things, and all that. I could get 2 weeks off a year for the next 40 years. And maybe at some point at 65, I'll have enough money to be able to be retired and enjoy my life. That's crazy. That's crazy we even agree to that or accept that as a society. I mean, that is insane. Like, and I don't care how old you are, you could be 70 and the idea still holds. It's so much, in my opinion, so much better to do more and deal with harder in the short term so you don't have to deal with a lifetime of that craziness. That lifetime having to beg for time off or being told you cannot do something or being told that, well, we have a very important meeting that time. I don't care what's going on with your child. Like that is literally insane. But when I joined the military, at that point, I was so used to always pressing forward. Like I said, chemical engineer, top of my class. At that point, I was working 2 to 3 jobs. I was literally working environmental engineering internship, working on campus, and then I was working at the very tail end of that. Actually started a night job, essentially, a later in the evening job as a leasing agent slash consultant for a large multifamily complex because that one came through a connection. It wasn't good pay, but I could do whatever I wanted during those hours. So that was pretty cool. That was like the initial spark of real estate when the young owners came into the property. And I said, how the heck do these guys own this 100+ unit, multi-million-dollar property in San Diego? That's insane. How do they possibly do that? And that's when they opened up my mind to creative deal structuring, not creative financing in the way that I understand it now, subject to seller finance, that kind of stuff. They were doing the Burr model. They were buying these incredibly large, huge properties, renovating them, increasing the rents, renting them out, and then refinancing and pulling all their money out from those deals. Then they would own this property with none of their own money in it, multi-million-dollar properties, generating them a bunch of money, fully renovated, rents are really high, and they would just recycle that same process over and over again for these large assets. And the biggest thing for me was, dang, these guys are not even that old. How are they doing something like this? At that point, it was so overwhelming for me. Like when I tell people, oh yeah, I went to 0 to $22+ million of real estate in 5 years. Like, I'm just trying to buy my first house. I'm trying to get $500 a month of cash flow. So I get it. I get what that's like. I do get that. And when I joined the military, I was forced to stop. There was nothing else I could do. I got sent to Oklahoma. We were training, right? Military training, then medical training stuff, then physical training. And then the rest of the time I was in Oklahoma. What did I do at that time? There's plenty of things you could do. Don't get me wrong. There's plenty of things you could do. What I decided to do at that time, how am I going to get to financial freedom faster? The first thing was understanding my VA benefits. Holy crap. If I serve our country for 20 years, I get a pension. That's sick. That would recreate what I was trying to save millions for at 65. I could be done at 44 with thousands of dollars a month coming in through a pension. Well, that seems like financial freedom to me. It doesn't have to be this cookie cutter path, right? That would have worked solidly. But then once again, I'm always thinking, how can I condense the time frame? if I can achieve the same goal that I want with less time or effort, that's not true. I don't mind putting in more effort. Usually, to reduce the time, you have to put in more effort, but you can be more strategic about it. The key thing that I'm trying to get across is I had to slow down personally to figure out what is it that I wanted to do. When I had that time to just kind of stop and focus on my job in the military and my physical health for the military and for myself, I actually gained like 20 pounds of muscle. It was beautiful, beautiful time in my life. Um, it gave me time to reset and recalibrate and really think through what is it that I want. I didn't want to take the long, slow path. I didn't mind taking the harder, more effort, shorter path. That was one of the biggest takeaways. This passive investing was not the right fit for me because I'm an active freaking person. I want to be the beneficiary of working harder so I can get more results, which could be more money or shorter time frame. It was ultimately up to me, and I prefer the active route. And with that being said, this is so important. If you can have one takeaway, I'm not going to get into my full journey of learned, read, analyzed deals for 18 months, finally had some mental breakthroughs and met up with people, community, started buying real estate, all that stuff to then get to 18 months to get my first deal and then $22 million over the next 5 years. That's the high level. The big thing I want to share on this amazing day, the thing that I want to share to you is sometimes it's okay to slow down to speed up. I just had a call with someone who I believe is joining Super Investors, and we realized one of the biggest things wasn't that he wasn't taking action. He was taking action. But sometimes you're taking so much action or you're falling into what you think other people want you to do. And with social media and marketing and ads and all this crap, they're convincing you that you should do the thing that they're trying to sell you. The problem is if you don't take a minute to step back and realize, Tim's story says, are you in alignment with your assignment? This poor guy has spent tens of thousands of dollars, years, and hundreds, if not thousands of hours pursuing wholesaling when that's what he thought he should be doing. Then pursuing EMD lending and all these little active income things, This guy makes $160,000+ a year, even more previously. He had everything that he needed to do to just focus on buying and holding real estate investing. His goal was not to grow more active income. He wanted financial freedom. That comes from owning assets that spit off cash flow that is passive or semi-passive. That's the only way you're going to get there. Assets that produce something for you. But he was convinced because of the marketing and the ads and all this stuff that what he should be focused on is wholesaling and turning $1,000 to $2,000 through EMD lending and all these little things. That's great, right? For a lot of people. If you need your first 10K, you need to just get started. That makes a lot of sense for you. However, he spent all this time, money, and energy being not in alignment with his assignment, which is why I think that was one of the key factors why he didn't get the results that he wanted to. It's not that these things don't work, but if you're not in alignment with your actual end goal, if you don't see what that end goal is that you want to accomplish, and that's in alignment with what you want, if your end goal is not, I need $10,000 to pay my next month's bills, and that's not enough of a driver for you, of course, you're not going to put in the time and effort the way that you should to get those results. But if you are very clear on what you want out of life, what your exit looks like, right, where you want the end to be, and then have the step-by-step to get there, you're going to be so much more committed to actually doing that thing because you understand what you want and why you want that thing, why you want to accomplish that goal. The thing is, I already know the cheat code. Virtually everyone wants to be financially free. No one wants to have to worry about how they're going to pay their bills. No one wants to work just for the sake of money. You want to work for purpose. I continue to work for purpose, right? I already know you want to be financially free. I don't know why you want to be financially free. Some people do want fancy jets and cars and all that stuff. Some people are like me and they just 1 to 2 walks a day. Enjoy family time, not ask someone else for permission, not look at the price at a menu when you're eating out. Be able to buy all the best foods that you can cook at home. Travel last minute if you choose to. Travel without concern of finances. Travel for last minute opportunities. The one big thing, I hate asking for permission. My wife, that's separate. I'll ask her for all the permission, right? We got to be in alignment with each other. But I'm not asking, as a grown human being, I'm not asking someone else. I can't even explain to you how much of a driver this is for me. I'm not asking someone else if I can go do something, or I'm definitely not being told I got a freaking stupid meeting to attend that's preventing me to do something important in my life or with my family. That's what drove me, right? Exactly. Family time is the one and only. I mean, my man Oscar's absolutely right. Like, this is a lot of people that resonate with me. I don't share anything fancy because I don't care about anything fancy. I mean, I have a nice house. Don't get me wrong. I have a nice house. I like to travel. I like to do all those things. You do whatever you want with your life, but understand what is it that you want to accomplish. Typically, it's financial freedom, right? Depending on where you're starting, you do not need to do all the dirty work, I guess, of wholesaling and flipping and this and that before you deserve to buy and hold. Depending on where you're at, if you have experience and you have capital, why can't you just start doing the thing that's in alignment with what you want to actually accomplish? And that's kind of the conversation, the breakthroughs that we had. And what I realized is I was forced into clarity where he was consistently taking action because he is committed to a goal. He just didn't know exactly what that goal was, nor did he understand how all these other things are a massive distraction and a waste of time and money, but an actual distraction. You have 24 hours a day. The majority of that is already spent elsewhere. You maybe have 15 minutes to 4 hours in your day to actually accomplish the goal that you want. Like literally, you have 15 minutes to 4 hours on the high end for most people with a job, especially family obligations is much lower. You have that much time to invest in your path to financial freedom, ideally consistently, right? You do that over and over again consistently, but you only have so much time. You're spending 15 minutes, 30 minutes, $1,000, this, that, doing all these things that are not in alignment with what your end goal is supposed to be, then of course you're not getting the results that you don't want. And even if you are getting the results that you were working towards in that sense, are those the results that you actually want to accomplish? Or are those the results that marketing convinced you that you wanted? There's a reason why people spend $50,000 or fucking more on purses and stuff. And a purse is a purse, or a car is a car. And don't get me wrong, if that's your thing, I don't care. Good. I love that for you. I want that for you. For me, it's all the same thing, right? A car drives me from A to B. Do I want a nice, safe car? Of course. Do I want a really nice home? Yes, of course I want that. Land, pool, all that good stuff that we have. Yes, I want all that stuff. But a lot of people are convinced by marketing that they need or want something that you don't actually need or want. You don't realize that when you're always pressing forward. When you take a moment to step back, like I said, I was fortunate. I had to take a step back. The military forced me to. I literally had very little control of my time at that point. So I had to just think and reflect a lot. You need those periods of your life so that you can actually press forward. The best way to press forward is to press forward with intentionality and to understand you only have so much time. Every single thing that you do has a trade-off. Everything. If you're doing X, you're not doing Y, right? If you're spending money here, you have less money to spend there. Time, money, all trade-offs. At least with money, you can always get more money. Time, you only ever get less time. It only ever goes down. So it is so imperative that you are intentional with your time and understanding where you are at in your investing journey and what resources you have, and taking a moment to step back and have clarity. What do I actually want to accomplish? Then reflecting on what I want to accomplish. Are the actions that I'm taking today leading me towards that or not? And then even if they are there more efficient routes? Does wholesaling in theory lead you to being a buy and hold real estate investor with a huge portfolio that's financially free? Potentially, you can make the case. But is that the most efficient route to get there? Or are there other things that you could be doing that's better with your time? That's something for you guys to reflect on this incredible, beautiful day.